Hey folks, you know I take my trail camera intel pretty seriously. It's a huge part of how I build my hunting strategy, and I'm always looking for gear that just flat out works. Stuff I can rely on. Backed by solid people and the best customer support in the business. That's exactly why I run Tacticam Reveal cell cameras. Whether you're just getting started or you're a full-blown data junkie like me, they've got a camera to fit your budget and your hunting style. My go-to currently is the Reveal 3.0 series with fully integrated GPS. These things are dead simple to set up. Less fiddling, more scouting and hunting. And they run on most major service providers and will automatically connect you to the strongest signal in your area. So no more hiking to the top of a ridge just to realize you've got the wrong service provider. Been there, not fun. Here's the kicker. You don't even need an SD card. That means fewer trips in, less pressure on your spots, and more real-time intel sent straight to your phone. And if you pair it with a Reveal solar panel or a lithium cartridge, you can keep those cameras running longer and spend more time doing what actually matters. Scouting new ground, dialing in a setup, or maybe, just maybe, finally cleaning the garage like you told your wife you would before the season started. Don't just take my word for it. Check out Tacticam Reveal at tacticam.com. Tacticam. Everything you need to take your hunting to the next level. Stay more comfortable, more concealed, and in the stand longer with Oscio gear. Premium camouflage apparel created for bow hunters by bow hunters. Oscio's revolutionary patented camo patterns and innovative features are designed to keep whitetail bow hunters totally invisible and dead quiet. Elevate your game with Oscio. Visit asiogear.com and take 20% off your purchase with code TRUTH20. If you're like me, e-scouting isn't just part of the process, it is the process. And nobody's doing it better than Spartan Forge. This is a veteran-owned company that built the only science-based scouting platform on real GPS collar data and artificial intelligence to predict deer movement. But where it really shines is with their imagery. Spartan Forge now has a high-res UAV coverage for 80% of the whitetail states, down to 5-centimeter detail. That means you can see trails, old logging roads, cuts, even subtle vegetation changes that most apps completely miss. And if you really want to get nerdy, their LiDAR layer breaks right through the canopy so you can see the forest floor. Gives you some visibility to those hidden draws, ditches that big bucks absolutely love to live in. Add in historical wind data and a desktop-only features like Eagle Eye and Cyber Scout, and you've got the most advanced hunting app out there. Start your risk-free 14-day trial today at spartanforge.ai. Welcome to the Truth from the Stand Deer Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Tacticam Reveal Cellular Cameras. I'm your host, Clint Campbell, and you're listening to episode number 473. Today I'm joined by my buddy Aaron Hepler to talk about the importance of adaptability during the hunting season. So stay tuned. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Truth from Stand Deer Hunting Podcast. And today I have on my buddy, you guys know him, you love him, Mr. Aaron by God Hepler. What's going on, dude?
What's up, dude? It's been a while.
It has been a while. We were supposed to do a podcast over the summer.
When you came over, that's right.
Yeah, I was out at your place, and we were setting some trail cameras on some places and shooting some bows and just having a dude hang for the most part.
Yeah.
And we just, we went and just wore ourselves out. That was all there was to it. It was like, at the end of the day, we're like, you still want to do a podcast? It's like, no, we'll just do one later. I'm tired. Like,
it was all that corn walking. We went through that cornfield.
Yeah.
And hung that camera in the corner of the beans. And it was just like, remember how piping hot it was? Like all the heat just like sucked in there.
It was terrible. Like it was just hot, like in general that day. Like it was just I got out there early in the morning for good reason.
A great morning.
Yeah, it was awesome morning. It was and we did that on purpose because we're like, hey, let's shoot some bows. We'll do that first thing in the morning before it gets like stupid hot. Because we were getting into the tree, we were climbing and shooting at height and stuff like that, kind of getting ready for the season. And then there was, a spot that you wanted to show me that we went to hang a camera. And, to be honest, I was on the fence about doing it. Like as we got to the time to do it, because I was like, dude, it is hot out. Like
it was like 96 degrees.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to go walking through all this corn to hang this camera, but okay.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Do you remember how we jerry-rigged that camera?
Oh, dude. Yeah, I remember I sent a picture to Chad with that, and he was laughing because he thought
he thought we came across a camera set that wasn't ours, that was someone who like stacked theirs on top of another one. He was like, man, he's like, what a dick thing to do. And like, we ended up talking like that week or whatever. And I said something about the camera setup. He was like, yeah, he's like, man, that's a real asshole thing to do for somebody to do. Like, I was like, no, I was like, Hepler and I did that. We put both cameras there because we had to use one camera and tie it to another camera to get enough height on this pole to see over top the edge of the beams.
Yeah.
I was like, we just totally MacGyvered it. I mean, you did eventually go in and put a different camera on, but.
Yeah. And then we didn't have, remember, we found, because we had to get the okay to put the camera there from the farmer.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we found a ground stake in the fence row that I like ripped out of the ground. Remember that?
Yep.
And I bent the crap out of the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
we couldn't get it driven into the ground. So we had to find a rock and we're pounding it, trying to get it straight enough to where it would actually, like, we could stake it into the ground. It was just some jerry rig stuff, man. But that's like the fun stuff, man. It's like, I sometimes, I don't know about you, but, not to get on the old man soapbox here and bitch about technology, but because I won't, because I do appreciate technology and the things that we have now that make things, I'll just say more convenient in certain spaces. Some places I don't think it's great. Other places I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah.
But when I do stuff like that, it makes me think about when I was younger or I was a kid, and you didn't have anything, you know what I mean? And you were trying to figure out how to, learn the things you needed to learn with and improvise with less than ideal, like, tools, essentially,
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the romantic in me or what, but, and this is actually in like just every shape of life for me,
Mm-hmm.
that, again, I don't know if it's the romantic in me or what, because I know I sometimes feel like that was a better, happier time, not just like that I had, well, maybe it is that I just had more fun and I wasn't so consumed with, advancement or success or whatever. And that goes for just like personal life, especially this. I get really nostalgic around this time of year, around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I start to think about, I don't know why I do this, but I think about, whenever my wife and I were a young couple and how, we didn't have a whole lot, we were trying to figure out, just as many young couples do, figuring out how to make ends meet, like, had no clue what the next 5, let alone 20 years was going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think back to those and I'm like, man, like, we didn't have anything. We didn't have the means to, like, do some of the vacations that we do or, have some of the experiences that we have now and stuff like that. And I'm like, but were we happier maybe?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where that comes from. It probably is just being romantic about the past and just like having gratitude for what I have and, and appreciate where we came from,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Sure.
I don't know. But it trickles in for me for hunting too, to where it's like, and especially kind of thinking about the day we spent together and like how it all kind of ended up trying to hang that camera and the way we did it. Like, it makes me think about, man, I didn't hunt that piece. I don't remember if you did or not this year.
Yeah. I did a few times, but
I don't. Did you kill anything off of it? I don't remember if it's.
I got close.
Yeah, close. So neither of us killed anything off of it, but it's like a core memory for me from the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's like one of those things where, and especially, I think it was in early August, if I'm not mistaken. And it's especially because it's like, it's one of those end of summer things. You have that excitement, and that I actually just talked about this on a podcast the other day. When the weather starts changing and you get those weird breezes, you start like, and it was that way when we were shooting bows in the morning. Like, the breeze was coming through and you kind of just, smell it coming,
Yeah.
And you kind of just, you get that like anticipation for bow season, and because you're getting prepped and stuff. I can't say it felt like that when we were hanging the camera up.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's like in Africa.
Yeah, I think I even mentioned that it was Africa hot. I'm like, good Lord.
But yeah, I definitely get those that feeling too, from time to time, and I think it's one of those things where you always kind of look back and you're like, well, you know, and I mean, even like you think about your granddad or your dad, they'd be like, oh, well, back in the day, it's that same kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And some things that we do are better, and some things could be better the way they were, you know?
Yeah. I don't think there's ever like a clear cut, you know, there's never certainty, I guess you could say, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe if you've experienced both, you could say one is better than the other, but what is better?
Right.
And that's I guess that's the part that I struggle with a little bit is, do I think it's better because it's just, you know, it's better for me, or it's the experience that I want because I'm free to just do that if I want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or would it be better? I was actually just having this conversation with Andy May a little bit about like technology and like where it's gone, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, where's it kind of stop, and you know, what are we risking, you know, with things kind of continuing where they're going with like drones and things like that. Like what's the cutoff point, and you know, is it in service of hunters overall and the species, you know, or in the deer herd or the animal rather? You know, I'm not a smart enough guy to have the answer to that necessarily, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. And so, so I mean, I think in general, I think we're hitting an inflection point of where it's not really in service to us any longer. You know, I don't think it does us a lot of good. I think there's more harm than good. You know, especially when you start looking at like access numbers and stuff like that. But I don't want to get on that soapbox today. That's not what you and I are here to necessarily talk about. But just, I guess I'm a romantic at heart, you know, and I see things and I'm like, man, the way they were, you know, would love to have those experiences all over again. Maybe that's what it is. Wanting those experiences over again.
Yeah, no, I get it. If I could say one thing to it though, man, we have all this, and I talk about this all the time. We have all this stuff coming out, and like the cell cams and the e-bikes and the drones, and like in fishing, forward-facing sonar and everything to make hunting and fishing easier. And some of it's because there are new people coming into hunting that are adult onset and are like, well, this is hard and it's hard to learn and whatever. The stuff isn't going anywhere. And I'm not saying I want to embrace all the stuff, but even if I don't use that thing, the people that are using it, I'd like to help them use it the right way, where they're still hunting and they're still fishing and they're still having the experience rather than just not using woodsmanship or chasing the thing that gets it for them. You know?
Right. Yeah, I think where the challenge comes in is that those are good intentions, and I'm just a pessimist. Not only am I romantic, but I'm a pessimist at the same time. Is that where someone can skirt the rules and use it in a way that shouldn't be used, that harms things? They will.
Oh, you know? Oh yeah.
You know, and I think that's the part that you can't, like, you don't create, you know, it's like when you're hanging a trail camera and you put, you know, I put my Python cable on it, right? That Python cable is just keeping honest people honest.
It's just a minor deterrent.
Yeah. If the person who is a thief wants to be a thief, they're going to figure out a way to either break it or take it. Like that's just, you know, that's all there is to it.
Be like old Greg and cut the tree down.
That was a crazy story, man, because then someone cut the tree down to take his trail camera. I was like, dude, that's hardcore. I was like, you know.
They probably just wanted his signature. Oh, I know this is Greg's camera. I'm going to cut it down so I can.
Right. Maybe he should just leave tear offs there with his John Hancock on it. But
yeah.
So, man, when you think about this hunting season, and it's not over yet, right? But in totality. But I don't know if you have any deer tags left or not. Do you?
I have 6 deer tags left.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. You got plenty of deer tags.
Yeah.
So to this point, what from this season has stuck with you, or has weighed on you? Like anything that you've experienced or thought about, while you were in the timber? Like, is there anything that when you think back on this season, to the part that has a little bit of weight? Like this was a moment, right?
I can't say that I had one of those big
or if there was a time that made you slow down or rethink
well, there was
something.
an overall trending theme of the season, and the season started out great. I shot a doe on the opening day of the statewide season, and I was like, all right, this is going to be a great season. Made a great shot, didn't track her far, all that kind of thing. And we started getting, this weather was good early on. We had some cold snaps early on or whatever. And I was like, man, this is going to be good.
We did have a couple really good ones in October.
Yeah. And we got into some of the buddy that I hunt with the most and I got into some of our really good stuff, and we were able to get into it earlier. We always get a spurt of bucks in the middle of October where, and so we did some middle of October hunting. We did a couple last week, and dude, the amount of people pressure this year was wild. There were 5 or 6 different people hunting back in one of our spots where I've never seen a person. There were in one of the other places that's a real deep hike in, there were trail cameras everywhere, tree stands. I'm seeing people on e-bikes out there where they're not supposed, all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty wild. So I think one of the things is I didn't adapt well to the pressure. Because I just, not that I haven't had to before, but because
you weren't anticipating it.
Yeah. And I had other backup spots, but then you kind of don't really know that much about them. We didn't really hang cameras in there. That's just kind of stuff we just breezed through in the postseason,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, next year, I really need to adapt to that. If a spot that I thought wasn't going to work out, I either need to just be going to the drawing board now, or make sure that I've had a lot of, I have plenty of spots. You've seen my waypoints, whole, the whole face is covered, but it's to have confidence in a spot. And I did kind of do that. I started hanging cameras in random spots that I could jump into, check without being very invasive. And that actually worked well.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to remember to keep that openness to that, because I ended up hanging a camera a 10-minute walk from the road and got some real good bucks on camera in an area I killed a doe last year. And that's the kind of thing that I want to keep alive, is just hunting in state like I would hunt out of state.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out of state, you don't stop looking, you don't stop hunting, you just you walk into the sign and you're like, is this fresh? Is it not? And when it's fresh, you sit there.
Right. Yeah.
And most of the time you do well.
Yeah. That's welcome to my yearly struggle. It's I can't, I shouldn't say I can't. I have a hard time kind of flipping that switch, if you will, and hunting my home state or hunting PA.
Yeah.
The same way that I hunt any place else that I would travel to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. I think part of it is because I feel like I have time, maybe, where I don't feel as rushed. And so I don't feel like every decision or every, time I'm in the out hunting that it's that I have to make something happen. And when I say make something happen, it's the wrong way to say it, because I don't feel that type of pressure where it's every hunt I have to kill something like that, because I know that's just not true, right? And so, but every hunt I do usually have a goal of something I want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's trying to find some hot sign to hunt for the next 2 to 3 days or however long I'm going to be there. I was hunting the Big Woods piece this year. and I hunted on one of the cold fronts. And that was kind of the plan, because as you know, that place hunts really hard in October, but I only really had October to hunt it because I was leaving to head to the plains. And so, you know, I heard some deer behind me in the morning. I got into this spot. I went in, I got into my tree with like a little, like as light was cracking, because I hadn't been in there in a little while. I had a camera in the general area, but I had never hunted it, so I wasn't quite sure what tree I was going to get into. And I was like, all right, let me just slip in with like a little bit of light, and then I'll be able to see what tree I want to get into. I'll get into a tree. And my plan was really just to hunt the morning, then I was going to get down and look around anyway. And so I hunted the morning. I heard a deer behind me. I heard what I thought was grunting, but I was getting set up, and I heard it. And it was one of those things where I was like, is that a grunt? You know? And in hindsight, it was, but he only did it like once, or did like a brap brap, like while I was moving like my bag or whatever. And so, yeah, I wasn't listening to it intently, you know, I guess is the way to say it. So when I got down, I actually ended up going back into the area where I'd heard that deer. And I mean, you've been up there with me, and I'm not lying when I say this, that it was more sign in one area that I've ever found up there since I've been hunting it or scouting it.
That's something for there.
Yeah. Like, I ended up hunting it that afternoon. I found a good place to set up. It was really kind of funky. Like, I had to set up really on the ground, which I was fine with. But where I was set up, I could count, I want to say it was like 6 scrapes and like 7 rubs in that little like 10 to 15 yard area.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, like, you and I both know in that area, if you find a scrape and a good rub, like, that's pretty good. Like, you just don't find a lot. But this was literally and it was fresh too. It had just been either torn up like that night or that morning, you know. And there was a big scrape right off where I didn't even see it when I was setting up, but I got into my tree and I was like, oh man, there's a huge scrape right there, you know. And so right behind me, so it was just this little pocket that was all torn up. And it was just a banger little spot, you know. And so I hunted that the next 2 days, and then I had to leave, you know. So, you know, that was one of the instances where it's like hunting that place actually makes me do more of that, because it's just low deer density, or I shouldn't say low deer density. They're spread out. There's plenty of deer there. They're just spread out and hard to see. But finding that little pocket, you know, what I've learned from being up there, especially after hunting that, you know, that big deer, is that you have to hunt it like you hunt out of state, especially in October. Yeah. Like, otherwise you're going to just sit and never see anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, it's easy to not hunt. And I think the other thing is you're cautious too. Like, oh, I don't want to touch this spot yet because it's going to be really good.
Yeah, you're precious about everything.
Yeah. And that might be a good thing, because sometimes you do the, like, I'm going in there because there's a lot of deer, and they're not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a balance to that kind of thing, but you just don't hunt out of state like you do, or you don't hunt the same in and out of state. Right. And it was even like that when I bear hunted in New Jersey, and even hunting bears is like that, you know, just walking into the sign and being like, well, this spot makes sense because, like, as he's scouting it, like, the bears could stage here, they could come out and feed here. I mean, they act like deer in areas where they don't have a lot of room to roam, you know?
Right.
And it was that way. It's like, man, I got into an area where I found a lot of bear sign, and I was like, well, I'm going to hunt here. Like, it makes sense. Like, and I ended up not following my freaking instincts when I went into that place. Right. I was like, well, I'm going to just touch the edge of this property, and then tomorrow I'll go deeper.
Famous last words.
Right. And I like got there, and there's big bear trails and all this bear crap all around, and like, looks like they're coming out and eating in this spot every day. And I'm like, oh man, this looks good. It'll look even better when I go back further. And it still looked okay, but not like that. Right. And I got out of the tree. It got really, really windy. So I got out like right at dark, like right at shooting light. So, you know, it's kind of like still gray when you're walking out in kind of open areas. And as I'm coming out, there is a bear standing right under the tree, that I wanted to sit in, and it's like,
yep, dude,
the
famous could have got one on the ground. His famous last words is always, "I'm just going to hang on this edge right here."
Yeah.
It's, I mean, that's, I replay it over and over. And not that I felt like I did anything wrong whenever I was on my trip this year, but there was a few instances because I had to play, like I didn't know a whole lot about this spot. So I was setting up where I thought I needed to set up, but some of it was being a little bit careful because I was doing some qualifying. Now net, it's like I had 3 really great encounters that were just outside of longbow range. So I guess you could say technically I played my cards right, but there were 2 different hunts that I kind of made that choice that you're talking about, where I was thinking to myself, you know what? I'm just going to hang back on this edge, and I think I'm in a really good spot. And then tomorrow I'll make a move. Now it did ended up working out because finally made a move to, I had a really big deer in close proximity a couple different times. But would I have maybe killed that deer that night if I had just gone for broke? Because I kind of knew where I thought he was going to be, and where I thought he was going to be is where he came out and I saw him again, so it's one of those things. I mean, we've done this long enough. It's like, you're always, a Monday morning quarterback to a degree when it doesn't work, if it does work, you're like, yeah, man, knew what I was doing the whole time,
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with trail cameras, right? Like the deer shows up on the camera and you were going to go there that day and decided not to. And you're like, oh, but he was probably there because you weren't most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, would you have bumped him on your way in?
Yeah,
right?
And we've both learned that from Tony, where he's like, dude, that deer wasn't there just because you weren't there. Like, that's why he was.
Yeah, part of the reason why he was there is because
and maybe he's just nice and talking us down when we have a bad day. I don't know.
Could also be that. Nice. So, man, from this year, is there like because you talked about being more adaptive. Is that like, if you had to think about one thing, right now off the top of your head that you wanted to kind of maybe take with you or not lose going into next year? Is it that kind of mindset of just being more open?
Yeah, absolutely. The buck that I killed, I killed because I adapted as best as I could. Right. I didn't see a legal buck until my 19th sit.
I know, that was crazy. I remember we were texting and stuff with our group that we have, that we text with our hunting season. And that was crazy because you usually see.
I see a lot.
Yeah. I was shocked.
Yeah. And the deer density where I live there's a lot of deer here.
Yeah. Piles of deer.
And it's not truly big wood setting here, but it's still large timber compared, unless I'm hunting one of the farms or something that I can hunt. It's still large timber.
Yep.
But so it plays like big woods, but I ended up killing a deer in an area where the buck that I killed in an area I've driven past it 100 times. It's not really close to anywhere that I normally hunt. And it's like, well, there's all these does coming out into this, like, it's actually, this area was actually more ag than anything. But I'm driving past here and there's lots of deer here all the time. And even in the season, there'd be a lot of deer like out, 5 o'clock in the evening, mostly on private or whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm going to walk around in there. And I did. And I found some sign and, it looks really good. So, my wife is with me the one time. She's like, you should just hang camera and just see what happens. And, I did. And I was able to like check it every now and then. I'd have to like kind of drive out of the way to go to it, but I'd go and I check it like maybe every other week because I hung it so close to where deer wouldn't be that I figured, they'll just come through there at night. And I ended up getting like some daylight pictures and I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot of scrapes in here. There's, and they're getting hit every day. And even after I'm checking this camera, like deer are there an hour after I check the camera. Okay, well, this looks good. So I kind of waited until I got that on that camera. I kind of waited till I got, like edges of daylight pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And there ended up being so many deer in this spot that I had to like say, okay, tomorrow morning, like I can't go in before 5:30 a.m., but I got to be in the tree and sat before 6:30 because that's the only window I could find that didn't have deer on the camera.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, so I ended up getting there, like racing into the tree, like I didn't even really pay attention to how much noise I made because as far as like what I was getting from the camera, the deer were like not there at that time. So I was like, just get in. So I like raced in there, didn't really care about noise, I found a good tree, but it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I won't go that high. And then you realize like you're getting up and up and you like bang into the branch on your head and you're like, oh no. And I need to be above that branch, you know?
Right.
So you're like moving the branches out of the way and like making all kinds, you know.
It's like, how high do I need to be in this tree? And then someone shows you a picture of Willie Nelson. That
high. And I ended up getting set. I knocked an arrow right at 6:30. And I could hear deer like starting to filter through the area and stuff. I'm like, all right, this is good. And shooting light was at 7:04. And at 7:05, I see a buck coming down this trail that I thought like I was expecting them to come from. And he's just like, he's moving. Like he's coming either check a scrape or he's just breezing right through.
Cruising through, yeah.
And I could see he was wide, then I could see he had brow tines and, you know, enough points. And I'm like, okay, but it's still like, it's 7:05, shooting lights at 7:04. You know, it's like,
right.
When you're in timber, it's like not that easy to see. And it was cloudy out. So I'm like, oh boy. And I'm like, well, I'm going to kill that deer. Like, this is a cool, the story for me was really cool because I found it with my wife. Like, it's one of those kind of in season, adapt to the situation kind of things. And I was like, I'm killing that deer. So, and I'm like, I got birds to hunt. I got things I want to do. Yeah. So I draw my bow and I'm like, at first I was like, oh, you got to range him because I wasn't sure if he was going to be at 30, but then he like took a turn. And I'm like, oh, he's going to be like 10 yards. I don't even need to range him anymore.
Right.
So I draw and he was about 17 yards when I ranged it after the fact. And I draw and I stop him and he stops behind a tree and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Always.
And he's like, I'm like holding. So now I'm already like 10, 15 seconds into like holding this thing to where he's getting to the right place. And then he kind of gets nervous because he's like, you know, after you stop him once, it's like, now they're kind of like on alert a little bit. And he takes one step and I'm like, and he like does one of these and I fortunately I was ready. So I just was already starting to pull because I knew he was already taking the step. And I let it fly and he jumped like 20 yards and then I couldn't see him. And this is not like there's not a lot of cover in this area. Like it is honestly, when you look at it, you're like, there should not be deer here. Like, you know, and I thought I was like looking for him. I'm like, where'd he go? Like, where do I, and I like knock another arrow and I'm like, is he doing one of those things where they kind of are looking around like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like where, and I was like, did I miss? Like, what just happened? And next thing you know, I see the deer doing the wobbly thing and he tips over at 20 yards, you know, and I'm like, holy crap, dude, I was so pumped. You know, I'm like, wow, I got it. He's on the ground.
Right.
And I'm like, they're like, but it's, you know, I heart shot him and there was just blood.
Oh, he was dead. He was dead on his feet.
Oh, blood everywhere, dude. And it was so cool. And he's not a big buck by any means, but that story to me is so worth it. Like, to me, the story's a big buck, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's one of the things I love about you. Like, one of my favorite things about you is you just like to kill deer.
Yeah.
You know, and you like the story. And if it gets you excited, you know, you're gonna let it rip, you know, and you just have a blast doing it, man. Like it's one of my favorite things about you. Like, I can almost always count on Hep during the course of the season, shooting a deer, and being stoked out of his gourd for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's refreshing, man. Cause I mean, you went through a part of a season where you had a lot of sits and not seeing deer, you know, or not seeing deer, but not seeing something to shoot necessarily. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you were saying, like there's like, you love to hunt in general, like whether it's deer, whether it's birds or whatever the case is.
Yep.
And I know, and it's funny because, you know, Andy and I were talking about this the other day. We were talking about sacrifices, right? Like to do things that you want to do, or to meet goals that you want to meet, or whatever the case is. Like you're always having to give something up. Like you can't have it all, you know? And I shouldn't say you can't have it all, but it's real hard to have a lot of what you want, you know, and you usually have to give something up. And so, you know, could you hold out maybe and say like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to hold out and I want to try to shoot a bigger deer. I mean, you've shot bigger deer. Or is it more important for me to go spend some time with my dog, continue training my dog and running birds and stuff like that? Yeah. And that's the trade-off, right? It's like, if that's something you want to do, then you have to try to make hay, you know, during archery season, you know, as early as you feasibly can. So you have that time to spend doing the other parts of the hunting season that you like.
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise you have to sacrifice that, right? Yeah. Like it's, or you do both kind of half-assed, if you will, and you don't get really a whole lot of fulfillment out of either, because I passed on some deer and I didn't shoot a buck, you know, didn't have great experiences. And then at the same time, because I spent so much time doing that, I didn't get out with my dog as much as I wanted to. And so that wasn't as fulfilling as it should be, right? And I mean, you're one of my best friends, and that's why we're best friends. Yeah. Is because that's the perspective that you have.
Well, and there's a difference too. Like, it's not, to me, like killing a deer is not like the bloodlust kind of thing. I'm not like, I need to kill something. Like, I don't need to kill a buck, but I want to, and I want to have fun archery hunting, and I want the experience and the story, and I really want to have summer grilling time, and you can't have summer grilling time with an empty freezer.
Right.
And I am kind of a meat hoarder. Like, I want birds in my freezer. I shot stingrays this year. I told you about, I got those in my freezer. You know, I want all that, you know, and I can't have that without, like you said, I can't have that if I only hunt a deer. I would have missed probably 2 weeks of really good bird hunting with my dog. And I don't want to be I'm not like a need to go to 5 states type of upland hunter, but I want a dog that I'm not just casual with. Like, I want a dog that, like, if I take friends out, they're like, wow, that was cool, you know, because I want them to have that good experience. I want to have that good experience. One of the coolest things you can see is a dog working a bird and following its instincts, and then with the pointing situation, going on point. I didn't teach him how to do that.
Right.
He just knows. And that's incredible. And it's not like, I'm not like, a pheasant doesn't go up and I'm like, you know, shaking or getting this adrenaline rush, but man, it is fun. And I took a bunch of people out this year. I took my buddy Bert the one day though. And we had a pretty good day. Like, Rue put up a lot of birds that day, and we were out with my dad, and my dad's like, all right, well, I'm going to call it for the day, whatever. And I'm like, Bert, when we go to this other spot, I wanted to see what the fields are like here. And Rue, we got in there, and Rue was just like eating it up. And I think I ended up shooting two birds there. And we got to the top of this hill, and Rue gets birdie like as soon as we get down this tractor lane, right? And Bert has now learned what Rue looks like when he's birdie. He's like, oh, there's going to be a bird, you know? And it's kind of cool because somebody else is learning your dog's body language.
Right.
And Rue kind of like tracks down the side of the field, does a pause point, tracks down the side of the field, does a pause point. I'm like, this bird is running through the field, and he's locking it up, and then it's just trying to sneak away, and he's staying ahead of it.
Right.
So I like, come on, Bert. And he like runs down the one lane. I run down this lane, get behind Rue. I'm like, okay, you ready? And he's like, Rue just like locks up, and I jump in the field, and the bird goes up, and we were both like up on it. I'm like, kind of gave him a second and I shoot the bird. Dude, the laughs that we had from that small piece of like, he's like, that is one of the most exciting, like just that like explosion of the bird coming out of the field and like, it's just, and the anticipation you get because you know it's there because the dog is telling you like the bird's right here.
Right.
It's so cool.
So you and I talked about, when I think it was like, not when you first got Rue, but when you were really starting to work with Rue and getting him, more acclimated, I guess, right? You were still in the training phase. I guess you're always in training phase to a degree, just to kind of make sure they're sharp.
Yep.
But this was like your early sessions with the pup, and we talked a little bit about seeing the woods differently and, based on, following a dog around and like, I think even then you said you had a different appreciation for wind and watching how they use it and how they work it, right? Gives you a real good sense of like how a deer is going to use the wind in very similar type of terrain or situations.
Yep.
But I'm curious, like when you spend time behind Rue, like what does that give you that, following a dog around, what does that give you that being in a tree will never give you? Like what is that?
I mean, dogs just, when it comes to understanding deer because of a dog, like animals have a lot of the same tendencies. Like they avoid things that are hard when it comes to terrain sometimes. Like Rue hates thorn bushes, right? And he'll go through them
as he should.
Yeah, he'll go through them, but he takes he knows the difference between like buckbrush versus thorns. Like if he sees thorns, he's like, where's the hole,
Right.
And he finds the hole to go through. And just watching him do that kind of thing. But this is pretty funny. So the other day, I really want to shoot a grouse, right? And I've never killed a grouse. Well, I'm always busy pheasant hunting with him and stuff. And that's mostly what we have in PA. There's some grouse around, but not a lot. So I took him out locally to go for grouse. And I went into this clear cut that I don't deer hunt. I mean, I've shed hunted it a lot because there's usually a decent amount of sheds, but I went into this clear cut. And as I'm walking up this hiking trail, I'm noticing all these, you don't overthink it then, right? Now I'm in the snow and I'm noticing there's like a ravine down the one side or whatever. And I'm noticing all these crossing trails in the snow. I'm like, what the heck? These were made like this morning, the night before, probably the last week, And I'm like, I would walk right past this if I be like, oh yeah, it looks good. The deer probably cross here, but it's probably nothing. But they were crossing there all the time. Like the amount of is down to the mud and there's 3-4 inches of snow. I'm like, okay, so I'm able to like mark crossings or whatever. But anyway, we get into this clear cut and we're going up through the clear cut and Rue is acting funny, but not birdie. Like he gets kind of like, if it's a different kind of animal, he'll be like, there's something here. I don't know what it is. And he like goes down this little opening, and this is a really, really thick clear cut. And he goes down this opening in laurel and he stops. I look over and there's a deer laying 5 feet from him. And it's like, 5 yards from me. I'm like, holy crap. And it's just like looking at me. I'm like, I just walked in here, made all kinds of noise. Like I'm talking to the dog and like, we're like crunching through stuff. And that deer's just laying there, like not disturbed. One thing I always think when I think about hunting with a dog too, is like how much you might learn about deer, because I don't think grouse hunters and I think deer know when they're being hunted. I don't think that deer thought it was being hunted by me and Ro, because people don't hunt deer with dogs in PA, so.
Right.
But I have a picture and a video of this deer just laying there looking at me, which I could have if I was there with a rifle deer hunting, that deer would have been out
right
way long before I got there. But it's that kind of thing that you learn and then you see like, oh, he got here because he was going through those little holes, and that deer got in there because it was good. Because it was like, how'd that deer get in there? Because it's like surrounded by thorn bushes just with its head sticking,
yeah.
So it's kind of cool to follow them through that kind of stuff. And he's, like you said, he's still learning. the training phase when it comes to birds is, like you said, it's never really over, but he's not even 2 years old yet.
That's wild.
So, you know, if you're somebody that's training a dog to learn how to do birds, like I'd get frustrated a couple times this year, and I have a good buddy, Dave Norman, and he was like, listen, man, he has a blue ribbon short hair.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, listen, some days they have good days and other days they don't. It's like when you go to the gym and you're like pumping out the biggest bench presses of your life and you're like, yeah. And you get there the next day and you can't even lift half that weight.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like it's just those same kind of things with dogs is like, some days you just are like, what is this dog? What are
Is this
you
the
a
same
poodle?
dog?
Like what's wrong with you? You know, but when you see them turn on like that, you do learn a lot about everything in the woods from running behind a dog. So it's real cool. It's real cool for me. But like I said, the deer thing, man, like I love shooting a buck in October, and I love everything about the experience and the story. And if that buck is like the buck I shot this year, man, might be like a 90-inch 6-pointer, you know?
Right.
And I'm, you know, you have those moments where you're like, oh, next year I should really hold out. And then like you go bird hunting and you're like, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
maybe.
Just take it as it comes. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe next year you'll be like, yeah, I want to go hunt some birds, but I'm not dying to go hunt birds right now. Right.
Yeah.
You know, cause it might get also to a point where it's like, there is something to be said about when you're doing something new, or you're teaching someone or something, you know, teaching them a new skill.
Yeah.
Right. That gets you motivated and excited.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so part of, you know, I know you love to hunt birds. I know you love hunting with a dog, but part of it also might be a little bit of the unknown, which is intriguing, where it's like, well, what's going to be the next first for Rue, where I'm going to see him do something first for the first time again.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exciting. But like, maybe once you get to a point to where it's like you said, you're always training, you know, you're never not training, you know, you know, when you have a pup that's a working pup. But you know, there will come a point where he'll have done all the stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, now it's just maintenance. Like you got to get him out to make sure he's just doing the things he's supposed to do, but he's not surprising you anymore because you've seen all of his tricks, so to speak.
Sure.
Right. And maybe then at that point you're like, yeah, I want to get out and hunt, but it's like, cause part of it I think too is that you want that hunt for him as much as you want it for you. Cause you know, to where
I told my buddy yesterday, like, I probably wouldn't pheasant hunt if I didn't have a dog. I mean, there's people that do, and I don't like, if you like to walk around for upland birds or whatever, like knock yourself out. But to me, like that doesn't really sound that fun. You know, if I was duck hunting or something, sure. Like I like hunting birds, but just walking a field because I want to take a walk without it. Like, I love the dog interaction part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this question a different way, because you answered like the one question I had, which was just like how you notice the woods, like when you're working with the dog.
Yeah.
But when I asked, what will, you know, hunting behind a dog give you that hunting in a tree never will, it was more personal, right?
Yeah.
Less about the hunting tactile, like tactic experience.
Yeah.
And more about like, what is it that you get from being behind the dog that you will never get from being in a tree?
Well, first of all, like the dog he's my little buddy, man. Like the companionship that you get from it, and they don't talk back. I mean, they talk back in a certain way, but like, there's no like bouncing ideas off your dog, and you have to really kind of be in tune to what they're saying. Like, I want to hunt with my dog as much as I want my dog to want to hunt with me,
right?
Because you can get a dog that's not interested in hunting with you and probably won't have as fun hunting with that dog, or just not have that same kind of bond with that animal.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the other aspects of it too. Like, if I haven't filled a tag and I go out pheasant hunting, it's such a good reset. Like, I don't overthink things as much, and I'm kind of like a little more laid back because I've had I mean, in the deer stand, you're just always on. You always have to be on, whether you're searching the cover with your eyes or you're like trying not to ting your sticks when you're climbing in the tree and you have to be on time. Like you got to wake up real early and make sure, like if I want to hit the snooze button for an hour before I go bird hunting, it's not a big deal. If I do that with deer hunting, I'm getting in late. I'm making mistakes because then I'm rushing.
Even if it's not true, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you think, man, I'm going to get in late, my hunt's kind of screwed up. Mm-hmm. That's what you tell yourself, because that's what we've been led to believe.
Exactly.
Right. It's because you can still have a great hunt. You might have to change where you're hunting that day. If you're going to get in late. Right. But anyway, I digress.
But you're right. Like that's one thing that it might give you a better perspective. Like, okay, well, just adapt to that situation. Yeah, you can't go try to tuck yourself into the bed, but I can go still deer hunting and have a good time, whether I'm checking out a new place or going to a place that's less invasive. And maybe that's the time where a big buck goes through the less invasive spot or whatever it is. But the bird hunting perspective gives me that reset, gives me a really good, like, like that, just calm down and have fun. And the other thing that I've really enjoyed about it is I love to take other people that don't get to experience it or take new people. And that's a really good way to introduce somebody new into hunting, without taking them to your prime deer spot to be like, let's do this. And not that there's if there's a right situation that, then you can do that. But it's a really easy, non-pressure way to take somebody, and you don't have to worry about teaching them so much while you're bird hunting. Right. I mean, primarily you're like safety things, like stay in line with me. This is your shooting window, that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's about it. You don't have to be like, pick your feet up. Don't break sticks. Don't ting that off your thing. Like, don't slam the car door. Like, you don't have to
touch that piece of brush.
Yeah. You don't have to do any of that when you take somebody new. Yeah. And taking somebody new is a real challenge because you're giving up your time for it. Mm-hmm. But the nice thing is about bird hunting is you're hunting together,
You're still getting something out of it.
Yeah. You're still getting something out of it, and you're giving them an awesome experience most of the time. And then the other cool thing about that is I've talked about this a lot too, but anytime you can make an impact on one person, they make an impact on two people, those people make an impact on one person. And we need an army to do the things that we're doing, whether it be like have a voice for what kind of technology is appropriate, have a voice for protecting public lands. Mm-hmm. All that kind of stuff matters. And if you're not touching anybody, then you might not be making as good of an impact on those things as you want. Like,
hey, they're easy, they're touchy Epstein. I'm just kidding. You're like, if we're not touching anybody, hey, we don't want to be touching people in this show. It's a no touch policy. I'm just kidding.
But like, you can put up as many protect public land media posts as you want. Right. And people are just scrolling right by it. Yep. But if you take a person hunting that has been asking you for 2 years and they love it, that's something. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying if that's not something that people feel called to do, like maybe that's not your thing and you need to find a different way to contribute to that. But like, that is a pretty top-notch way. Or even if it's just like pointing the person in the right direction, like if they're interested in something,
Yeah, I have two guys actually I want to talk to you about at some point about getting out. They've expressed interest to me, and so I've kind of been, I'm not pushing it on them. And both of the guys are guys that I train with at the gym. Yeah. One's a younger fella. His time is really ate up now because I think he's apprenticing on the union. He's a lineman. And so he's doing that now. So he works out of town for the most part right now. So it's like he's really only home on weekends. Yeah. When he's home, because like, they work when they can, because when the weather gets terrible and stuff like that, they can't. So, but he picked up a bow last year. He and I talked about it, and he was like, I really want to start shooting a bow. He's like, because I want to hunt at some point. I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, I'll take you. I'll show you around. I was like, if you want to follow me around one off season while I'm scouting and stuff like that, if you just want to see how I do stuff, like, you're more than welcome to come along. And he did pick up a bow. Like, he asked me a bunch of questions, and, you know, I kind of got him set in the right direction. And then he started shooting, you know, in his backyard. He didn't have a rangefinder, so I had an old rangefinder, so I gave him a rangefinder, you know, and he just loves to shoot. And like, he's a good kid too. You know, when I say kid, he's like in his, you know, early 20s. Mm-hmm. But he was like, I don't want to hunt until I know I can shoot. He's like, I just don't want to be out there and not be able to be effective or hurt something or whatever. He's like, I want to be good with my bow. And I was like, hey, respect, man, because a lot of people will just grab a bow and run out, you know, and not know what the hell they're doing. And so he's been shooting now for probably like a year and a half. And so I'd like to at some point get him out when his time permits. And then I have another buddy who's my age. He's a retired special forces guy. He was a door kicker in the Middle East.
Nice.
Yeah, he's seen some crazy stuff. I keep trying to get him on the podcast to tell stories because he'll come over to the house once in a while.
Yeah.
And dude, the stories he has is like,
I'm sure,
bananas. But he doesn't, I respect like his position because he was in with a lot of the guys that have podcasts now. Like, he worked with them.
Yeah.
And there's like, you know, some weird stuff in the veteran community with people talking about things on podcasts. And there's some celebrity veteran guys, right, that maybe are a little salacious with the details and stuff like that.
Sure.
Funny thing is I get a lot of the inside dirt because he was on a lot of those things with those, those celebrity guys. But I digress. He, you know, went back, he's been retired now for, I want to say 3 years. And so he just finished up his master's because he went back to school and got his master's, and he just finished that up. And so, and he was talking to me about wanting to hunt beforehand, you know, and he's like, I want to get a bow. You know, actually, when Anna outgrew her kid's bow, I gave him that bow for his daughter to shoot because she wanted to start shooting. You know, and so he's into it, and he just hasn't had the time. So now he has the time. So I'm like, okay, dude, and he'll be an easy teach because he used to hunt people. You know what I mean? I'm like, these are just 4-legged people, man. Like, that's all there is to it. You know?
Yeah. But, we definitely need to talk about that.
But a good intro for someone like him would be, you know, just getting him out behind a dog, you know, because he's handy with a gun already, and like, you know, shoot some birds and stuff like that, and then introduce him to archery, you know, post.
The hard thing about new people, man, is like they don't even understand any animals. I always say this about my buddy Phil. Like, I took him out scouting for the first time, and he's like, "Oh, look, there's a scrape," and I'm like, "Where?" And he's like, "Right there." I'm like, "Oh, Phil, that's a rub." And he's like, "Well, what's the freaking difference?" You know, like,
he's like, to the layperson, it's like there's no difference. It's just like a mark the deer made, and to us, you know, it's like it's very different.
Kind of matters, you know.
Kind of matters,
kind of matters. So we always laugh about that. Like, I should make a T-shirt.
Yeah, oh shit.
With a rub and a scrape, put the words the wrong way, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be tested afterwards.
Yeah, but it's important, man. And like, I like all aspects of hunting, and we've talked about this too, where I like the camaraderie aspect of it, whether it's like group texting your buddies and filling them in on your hunt, or but I also like, you know, I like the camp vibe, and I like the solo part of it too. And I like going hunting by myself with my dog. I like taking people with my dog. I like sitting in a tree by myself. I like walking into the woods with a buddy. Like, I like all of that. And, you know, I get all that. Like, I did the rifle camp up in Northwoods again, and we had a great time. And, you know, there's so much to hunting that is not just one thing. It's not just, you know, the social media is full of people that are whitetail experts. And if you only like to whitetail hunt, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not trying to be better than anybody. I'm trying to have a good time. I'm trying to promote things that we love. You know, my buddy Jared, my primary hunting buddy here, had a way worse year than I did. He had like 30 sits and saw one deer. One deer, right? And he's seen some deer now finally, and I think he's like 40 or 50 sits for the year or something ridiculous. Like, it's a lot. And we went out together on the second Saturday of rifle season. He ended up shooting 2 does in the one morning. And it's great, you know, and like, the next weekend I went out by myself and I shot 2 does, and like I like both those aspects of it, you know, like getting excited for him, but then also enjoying a moment to myself where I did the same thing, you know. It's just fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think knowing yourself is important, you know, and that's, again, going back to what I said earlier, it's one of the things that I like. One of the things that I love most about you is that you know what makes you tick. You know what's important to you. And so you started kind of leading into it because I had a question I wanted to ask you. And you kind of started getting there. I thought you might get there by yourself without me asking it. But, you know, if you think about hunting in general, and I don't think necessarily just this season, but it could be maybe a realization that you had this season. But is there anything, you know, like when you think about it, just either from this year or just like the totality of your hunting experience, that you've kind of come to the realization that, you know what, this specific thing or this specific type of experience or whatever it is just doesn't serve me anymore. Like there's not a reason for me to keep this thing around or continue. It could be a tactic. It could be a strategy. It could just be a mindset or whatever the case is. It's like, this thing just doesn't do anything for me anymore. Like, it's like, I've been keeping it around because I thought maybe I would come back to it, or maybe it has some meaning to me. But like, when I think about it, it's just, it doesn't anymore. Like I've moved past it and it's okay to let it go.
Yeah. I definitely have that. My wife always tells me you don't have to be all or nothing. And I take that, as dudes, we take that quite literally. Like you can think of people that have problems with alcohol, where it's like, okay, well, maybe you can just drink in moderation, you know, or like whatever. And that's kind of how like a dude would view it. But when I think of it from a hunting perspective, when I think all or nothing, I kind of have to be happy where I'm at, right? So I went through the phase where I wanted to kill a giant buck. And I did okay, right? Like I would get close and I have a couple of Pope and Young bucks on the wall or whatever. And that's exciting and it's fun, or you have those big encounters. My thing now is like, I am going, I spend a lot of time in the woods. I don't shirk this stuff because I don't care about shooting a big buck. I don't shirk the scouting. I scout just as much. I scout just as hard. My thing when I'm hunting is I will put myself in a situation where I believe I can shoot the good representation or the biggest buck I can possibly find. If that buck don't come through first, I probably won't care.
Right.
And my thing is it was kind of just letting go of like I need to shoot a big one. I need to find a big one. Because it's not fun. Like, it's fun when you shoot. If you, okay, there's a difference.
There's
right?
a difference. Yeah.
You can be frustrated all season and be like, this sucks. I'm selling all my crap and all that. And then you shoot a big buck and all of that goes away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, greatest experience ever. It's funny how like in a split second, you pull that trigger and the buck goes down. Now it's okay.
Yeah. But
all season it was terrible because you didn't kill the big buck yet. And I don't really like I said, you know how much I spend time in the woods. If I'm off, I'm probably in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
And if it's not a hunting season where I can hunt, I'm out there looking for sheds with the dog. I'm out there looking for deer sign with the dog. You don't really need to scout for birds. I know where the birds live. So anytime I'm scouting for deer. And I find some pretty good freaking deer. The deer that I shot this year, there was a really nice like 120, 125 9-point. And as far as that area, that was probably the best deer I could find in that particular spot. I could have waited for that deer that morning. He probably would have came by. But I didn't really want to,
Right.
Like I had the opportunity and I took it.
Yep.
And I think that's something that is one experience that I was okay letting go of. Like, I don't need to kill the biggest buck because
nobody cares, number one.
Nobody cares.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I'm never going to be Andy May. I love Andy May. Who doesn't love that guy?
Right.
Nice dude. Take the shirt off his back for you. Shoots massive bucks. Okay. But I don't need, he's done something where he's really just figured it out. And not that he puts plenty of work into it, but he's figured out how to go out and do those short couple of day hunts and kill a deer. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there are years where he puts more work into it than other years. And I'm sure he runs the gamut, and he's an excellent hunter. Mm-hmm. To me, I'm like, if Andy May came to Pennsylvania, would he pass a 110 or 120 inch deer if he just wanted to go have an experience? And the answer would be no, because Andy May is an experienced type person. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, maybe he would, I don't know. But,
well, I think it's different, right? Cause like I don't want to speak for him, but he's part of his experience is like, he's looking for a certain type of animal, mm-hmm. Like he's gone past, I don't want to say gone past, but like, that's his goal, right? Yeah. It's like he's goal oriented, and whenever he sets his mind on something, it's like that's what he works towards.
Yeah.
And what you were saying is like the amount of work that the guy puts in, like, and actually he and I just talked about this, the podcast that comes out, I think before this one will, mm-hmm. is, we talked a lot about sacrifice and he said as much in the podcast where it's, this is what he does. He doesn't really golf anymore like he used to. He's like, he was a good golfer at one point, and he's like, but I don't really golf anymore. He's like, I loved fishing. He's like, I wanted to be a pro bass fisherman, and got smoked in a tournament and realized that probably wasn't my path. And so he's just all in on the deer hunting, right? How you have an appreciate, and he loves all different types of species, but it's really bow hunting, right? Like and so he'll sacrifice other areas of, hobbies or whatever in order to fulfill the goals that he has and the growth that he wants. Because for him, it's less like people see the big deer that he shoots, and he shoots a lot of big deer, and he's really, really good at it. And he is a great guy. But, I don't think people have an appreciation for the type of work that he does, and it's not focused on the deer necessarily, and it's focused on growth.
Yeah, the growth and the experience, right?
Yeah,
because he's also okay eating tag soup if he has to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because he's having fun doing what he's doing,
and because he's doing it in a way and in places that aren't easy to necessarily do it in either. You know, and we talk about that where it's like, sometimes you come home with a tag, right? And that's just part of it, right? And that's one of the things he and I talked about, like with a little bit with technology, was like, do we want to make it easier for ourselves? Because it is okay to come home with a tag, like that happens, and it should happen.
Yeah.
Just like you shouldn't win every football game and you shouldn't win every jiu-jitsu match or whatever, right? Because where's the growth come from if all you're doing is winning, right? Yeah. It feels good to win, but in the long run, if that's all you do, it's like, it probably really hurts you to a degree.
Yeah, for sure. So that's one thing, like I'm cool. Like I'm just cool not killing a giant buck. Like I really want the story. I want to share hunting. I want to do all that. And like I said, I do everything I can to put me in a position where I have a very good chance at killing a really good buck, Yeah. And if the first one that comes by makes me happy, I'm shooting it.
Right. Well, dude, I think that's a good place to wrap it up, man. It's landing on the, takeaways, hunt your hunt. Yep. Whatever it is that trips your trigger is what you should be doing. You shouldn't really be paying attention to anything else. Find out what that thing is. And if things need to be let go of, just because you were into something at one point doesn't mean you have to be into it and be your goal for forever. Like those can change, and they should over time,
Yeah.
But
agreed.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, buddy. Before I let you go, though, let people know where they can find out more about you and your show and the In Camp podcast and all that stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you can find me. I have 2 Instagram handles because of the podcast now, but find me at InCamp_podcasts on the gram. And you can find me on Apple and Spotify, the In Camp podcast. This is the first episode we've done together on your show since I started.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Because we did one right like 2 weeks before I launched, because I launched in like March or something. So
And then we were too tired in the summer.
Yeah, we were too tired in the summer, rightfully so. But yeah, you can find the show there. It's on YouTube too if you're into watching the YouTube thing. So
sweet,
appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you coming on, buddy. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy New Year. Wishing you health and success in the new year. And I got to get up to see you and get behind the dog with you. One of these days, man. It's like I love hunting behind a dog. It's been a couple years since you and I did that bird hunt in Virginia too, so we need to.
I know, and that's one reason I ended up getting a pointer is because I freaking loved that. I actually was texting with the guide the other day, and he's like, "You should come down."
So, nice, yeah. Not the haunted house though. No thanks.
Yeah, not the haunted house. He was like, "You can stay in that house for free," and I'm like, "I'll sleep in the truck.
It's cool."
By myself,
right? No thanks. All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas.
All right, folks, that is a wrap for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for listening. And if you haven't yet, please head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And hell, while you're at it, head over to YouTube and give us a sub there too. I'd be super appreciative if you do those couple things for me. And before I shut this thing down, I need to give a big shout out to our partners who continue to help us make this podcast possible. Tacticam, Osseo Gear, Hawk Optics, Face Off E-Bikes, and Lathrop & Sons Boot Company. And until next time, we'll see y'all.